everyone. I'm very excited to be here. Today I have a special presentation which is called It's All About You. And today we're going to be talking about all of your comments. The first comment I want to talk about is from Affected Collective. They said, "Good heavens, Jessica, that's one crazy experience you had there. I'm inspired to make a response video about how that is possible via superposition in quantum physics, and I'll post the vid here when I do make it. But I must confess, this has me a little worried now." Affected, I'm definitely interested in your video. Please post me on it. Affected continued, "I'm wondering if maybe you're in heaven. You describe the place as familiar, the way it used to be, as Earth once was, and that the children are nicer. Well, I'm hoping that I'm going to the same place you seem to have found yourself in, because this place gets weirder by the minute. The continuing changes, especially the transformation of people I knew into alter personalities and the refusal of my loved ones to see this descent into someplace else, has got me praying every day. I've had visions that the ones who never see will continue living here, never knowing or knowing too late, that this is turning into hell, and that their loved ones who are Mandela affected have left with God, leaving only an empty shell in their place. It's hard to describe, but what happened to you may have been a glimpse into the future. One thing is clear, there is a choice we must all make, and the choice will be made for us if we ignore the choice. Go with God or go with the other choice. Clearly, my friend, you are meant to go with God, and perhaps this is the message within the experience you had." Thank you, Affected Collective. Your words were very nice, and also very reassuring. The next comment from Dream PSI says, "I have 2 pieces of documentation from Home Depot when I purchased some toilets. You'd think their paperwork would include the correct name, but it doesn't. 2 weeks later, I exchanged one toilet for another color, and the new paperwork has the Home Depot on it." You guys know I've asked to hear your stories, and I love reading them. This one's from Fuzzy Maiden. "My fiancé and I play Pokemon Go. He works graveyard. On the weekends, we head out to the local popular sports for Pokemon Go. We leave around 11 p.m. and stay out driving around, playing, eating, and just hanging out sometimes till 3 a.m. Our car CD player doesn't work, so we leave it on 100.7, something like that. It plays classic rock, and trust me, we are familiar with all the songs played. Well, one night we slept heavy till about 10 p.m. We were so tired, I'm on his schedule. As soon as we woke up, things felt weird. Different than normal. It wasn't 'cause of sleeping all day. We were used to this, already adjusted. So we got dressed and went out to play. It was Friday night, and there's usually a lot of cars on the road here. I mean, it's a busy city with bars, and if you play Pokemon Go, you'll know it has to be a busy area in order to have a lot of poke stops and critters. But on this night, it was really foggy. The city was like a ghost town, no cars. There was a lot of static electricity in the air, and the radio was playing songs we have never heard before. It was the same station, but a completely different DJ, who even came on and said, 'Tonight we have a special, all your favorite classic rock,' something like that. The more unfamiliar songs it played, the more weird we began to feel. It was creepy. It went on like that till about 2 a.m. We were so disorientated that we stopped at 7-Eleven to talk about this and have snacks. But right when we pulled up and shut off the engine, the whole store and block lost power. Complete power outage for about 5 seconds. Then it all came back on. Once we were inside and saw a familiar face, the clerk, we felt better. Everything was back to normal afterwards. The radio was playing our songs, and there were people on the road again as we were driving off. My fiancé is a very logical, scientific man. He's left-brained. I'm the spiritual one, but on this night he felt it too. He knew something was totally off. We've been together for 13 years. I know, my love. It's happened once more since, but now we both agree that we somehow slipped into an alternate dimension, or something rather. We caught a glimpse of a parallel reality, perhaps. It was really freaky. but kind of awesome after things switched back and we had time to let it sink in. Fuzzy Maiden, thanks for sharing your story. I absolutely loved reading it. Comment comes from Jester. You are the only person to have had the same experience as me that I know of. Back when Sherlock, a BBC program, first aired, we all watched it together. To the surprise of my family, I told them the exact plot, certain things that would happen, and objects they would pick up. I was too young to have ever read the Sherlock book, and even if I did, the plots vary hugely. I have these moments from time to time, and it really freaks me out. But since I discovered the Mandela effect, I've found more comfort in it. If it isn't true, I would still like to believe in it for my own sanity, but my experiences with flip-flops have just cemented my belief in the Mandela effect. Thank you for your comment, Jester. It is hard to deny something when there's just so much proof laid out right in front of you. This next comment from William is similar to Jester's, but it was a hoot. Holy shit stains, Batman. The movie thing that happened to you happened to me with the movie The Stephen King's It. I saw the movie on TV in the 90s, and twice I thought it was the coolest scary movie I'd ever seen. I was like 11, or then time passed like 8 months, maybe a year later. It was everywhere in theaters as Stephen King's new movie, and I was like you, reciting lines, calling my friends Eddie Spaghetti, and were telling me, "What the fuck are you talking about? It's brand new." And I never understood what happened, but just dismissed it. Samantha said, "Wow, I had such a similar Emmy effect before knowing how to coin it, but instead of a movie, it was a song, Boston by Agastana. I was a little girl, about 10 or 12, so I could barely navigate the just growing web, and definitely didn't know how to download music and whatnot. I just used the computer for kids stuff. And when I heard it for the first time, I got so excited because I love that song, and they came out with the non-acoustic, more lively version. In my reality, I knew it as a slow, beautiful acoustic piano ballad. I was singing along and knew all the words and was telling my friends how excited I was to have this new version of the song. When I found out that there was never a different version and it had never come out before, God, that was a very weird moment." Samantha, you're not alone. This is how I discovered Shazam was missing. I was having a discussion and said, back then they used to make movies that were similar to movies that were being released during the same time. A good example of this was the movie Kazam and Shazam. Both genie movies, both took on a young boy, both had similar outcomes. Another movie series or set was Deep Impact and Armageddon. Both of these movies had to do with asteroids, and they both came out in 1998. I then discovered that Shazam was never made. It was only Kazam. And I found that really odd because I was forced to watch both of those in school. So I definitely understand where you're coming from on the song. Thank you for sharing your story. This next comment comes from Cruz on the Hill. I don't know what's going on, but I worked for the state forestry for 8 years and dressed as Smokey the Bear for parades on 2 occasions for the 4th of July. Never remember a Smokey Bear. Crazy. This next comment comes from Deezer's Lemonade. Berenstain Bears. I grew up in the early 80s to early 90s. As kids, we mocked everything. I find it very odd that I have zero memories of friends or anyone making fun of the name. Berenstain. No skid mark jokes, no poop jokes, nothing. And nothing from kids today, nor any nostalgia articles on the internet. How in the hell could there not be one child on Earth to poke fun at the Berenstain name? I remember Berenstein. And as a child joking about them being Jewish, shaking my head. What a mess. Deezers, I think you have some great points here. As children, we would have definitely been mocking the Berenstain name. This next comment is from Carmen. I can tell you for sure that in my reality, Cinderella always had a black choker. I specifically remember having the Barbie doll as a kid, and her necklace was black. Also, that Cinderella figure you posted is not proof at all considering her dress is white and not blue. Thanks for sharing. Well, Carmen, thank you for commenting. The figure is a ceramic piece, and they did put the blue down the center, which I think is supposed to like fade out into the white and kind of give you the illusion that the whole dress is blue. After posting that video, though, I did find an additional character with a complete blue dress. It's not ceramic, it's plastic, and it has a blue necklace. At the end of the day, though, I'm with you on this one. I remember Cinderella having a black choker with a gold medallion. However, Cinderella was not one of my favorite Disney movies, so I'm gonna just leave this one to the crowd. What do you guys think? Was it black or was it a different color? This next comment from Hazel Fever is actually a residue discovery. She says, Mickey Mouse had suspenders. Look at the third picture on the top page. And sure enough, the link leads you to Mickey Mouse sporting suspenders next to his love Minnie Mouse. Thanks for sharing your discovery. We definitely appreciate it, Hazel. These next few comments start from Sean, and it's really a question. How was Mandela a bad man? And Sammy says, just explain, please. Why would anyone think Mandela would die in prison when everyone knows him for being the first black president of South Africa after prison? This is what he is famous for. And Scott says, if you want information, just wait until the CIA declassified documents come out. Nelson Mandela was a shrewd, evil communist. Apathy and Mandela were two fine examples of evil. The ME turns up in CIA documents. What if alive? That sums it up. Mandela was largely believed to be a terrorist. Guys, where I come from, Mandela was a terrorist. We were taught that he was a very bad man. He would do something called necklacing. Necklacing was where he would take people, put them inside of tires filled with gasoline, light them on fire, and then roll them down the hill. They did these things to white farmers in South Africa because, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there are white African people that are in South Africa, and I think they're mainly European. I mean, I would assume, especially because I know the Europeans like went in and took over the Congo, and that's why you get all the blood diamonds. And I mean, it's just a whole mess. I could see why they hate people there, because the people that have gone in there have damaged, destroyed, killed, pillaged, and raped the lands. I mean, it's disgusting what people have done to their lands. And they were very tribal, I think, until a lot of these European nations started taking over their resources. So it makes sense why Mandela wouldn't want us there. In America, though, we were taught that he was a terrorist and all these bad things. Granted, a lot of the stuff I've learned in the past, I've had to forget and relearn the actual real stories. But at the end of the day, we grew up imagining him as one of the worst, evilest men because that is what we were taught. And I was taught that he did pass away either in the 80s or the 90s, but that he was in prison for a long time due to his terrorist activities and being a leader of a terrorist organization, which now if I read into his story, he wasn't a terrorist at all. His story was actually quite honorable. He stayed in prison and didn't take a bargain just because when he got out, he wanted to make sure that his freedom was true freedom and not limited. And honestly, that's very honorable in my opinion, although my opinion doesn't really matter. This next comment comes from Nordic Muslim. So we have plenty of examples and proof that they've changed. We know 100% it's nothing wrong with our memory. So it's beating a dead horse at this point, and what we really need to know is why or how they've changed. Is it just online? Did someone change all these things somehow? Anyone have a good explanation or video? It's a waste of time to keep debating whether we're right about the correct or original phrases. Nordic, I don't think you're alone in wanting to know why or how these things have changed. I've been doing a lot of research, and using the CIA documents, I've found some really crazy connections. I do want to share them with everyone, but they're pretty far out there. I'll post a video for you guys soon. Mate says, we live in a day and time where everything is in digital form of memory, and for some reason history is being changed. I think it's for a reason not yet known. Personally, I think it's to try and make the people who remember everything right to look like crazy people. Think about it. What's the easiest way to point out the people who won't go along with the programming? People who think for themselves are a liability for the power-hungry elite. They want us dead, so the best way to do that is to make you look nuts. Matei, I think you actually have a pretty valid point. One thing they do is make everyone look like an enemy. If you're a rebel, you're a terrorist. Rebels aren't necessarily terrorists, because if that were the case, then America themselves would be terrorists, because at one point in time, they too were rebels from the European nation. I guess the answer is who gets to spin the media. Next comment comes from Janai. I hope I said that right. The Mandela effect is a deception. God said in Scripture that in the end of days he would send a strong delusion to those who reject the truth. This is the beginning of that delusion as we are closing in on the end of the age of grace. Soon the rapture of the church will take place and usher in a 7-year period of time known as the tribulation period. God's wrath will fall upon the earth during the tribulation period. I would be very interested if you could locate the scripture for me in Revelations that states where God will be creating these delusions or where memories and whatnot are going to be deceived or changed. I'm not disagreeing that it's in the Bible because I actually used this scripture in a different conversation without being able to quote the exact scripture. So when I went to look for the lines in the Bible, I couldn't find them anymore. And I was like, oh great, here we go again, another change. But I didn't want to call it a change without being sure I absolutely couldn't locate it. So I guess that's going to be my challenge to you is to please locate the scripture that you are quoting because I too quoted this and would like to know where it was in Revelations because I cannot find it. I appreciate it. All right, this next set of comments has to do with new changes that might or might not be known. This next comment comes from Suso Anthony. Great to see a video from you. Great one at that. I have also had the wall lyrics change from brick to brick, and just last week it went back to brick. And yes, I had the same thought. Did I go back? I don't think so. I think this is shifting in and out of realities is natural and malleable. Suso actually has his own YouTube channel and deals with the Mandela effect, so definitely go there and check out some of his videos. He's pretty awesome, straightforward, and just down to earth. This next discovery comes from Amber, and here's her story. I was singing one of my all-time favorite songs one day in the car with my daughter, Let's Go Crazy by Prince. I'm turning up the volume and singing. I know every word to this song because I've known it for 25 years. Prince and I get to the part, Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to blah blah blah. But I'm here to tell you there's something else, the afterlife. But I got it wrong. What? I do not get lyrics wrong. Prince said the afterworld. I do not remember ever saying that. When you know the lyrics to a song and you're jamming and singing along, you get into this rhythm. Like tying your shoe, you become used to it. I will never forget what day it was either, because the radio station played 3 more Prince songs, and I was hoping he was coming to town for a concert, but sadly no, it was the day he died. That was my first Mandela effect. Though, at that time, I didn't know what was going on. I actually thought, well, I'm getting older, maybe it's an early sign of Alzheimer's. Now I look back on that song and find more wrong with the lyrics than just the one I wrote about here. Now I spend a bit of time every week looking for bigger changes than lyrics and labels of products. The one that freaks me out the most is the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. He was never found. Now it turns out he was murdered and found just days later. Crazy. This next discovery is also a song, and the comment comes from People. There could be a Mandela effect currently in the middle of merging right now as of the date of this post. It's the song Sweet Dreams. The official song is titled Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. In almost every video, the lead singer clearly says these, even in the video from the 80s when the song was on the top 40. However, every copy of the lyrics you can find has the lyrics as saying this and not these. Also, love the new intro. Very nice. Looking forward to the next series. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, people, for your inspiration and definitely your discovery. That is very interesting. As one of the songs that I definitely enjoy, I know it was Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. So thank you for sharing this one. I'm going to look into it more. This next discovery comes from Rusty Shackelford. Okay, I've got one for you. I've brought it up a while back, but it never made it anywhere. So I've done a little research. Elton John's song Crocodile Rock doesn't say holding hands and skipping stones. Instead, it says skimming. So I did the old internet searches and asking people I know, and 90% of what I found is it's skipping. Yet when I listen to the song on the radio, it clearly says skimming. Rusty, I'm very familiar with Elton John and the Crocodile Rock song, as it's one that's played on the radio numerous times. So I'm definitely going to check this one out with you, see what I can find as far as proofs go. Thanks for the heads up. Okay, guys, so this next Mandela effect really tripped me out. It's from Heavily Armed Goy. I've got another one. We all know the Energizer Bunny. Well, now, since 1973, there has been the Duracell Bunny. Never was before. Definitely makes me wonder, Heavenly. Is it still the Energizer Bunny? Because I remember that thing could keep going and going and going. I couldn't imagine a Duracell Bunny. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm definitely going to check this one out, see what I can find. Thanks for the heads up. This next conversation is between Andrew and Mike. Andrew said, I first noticed mid-90s the Ford badge changed, and while it perplexed me at first, I just put it down to Ford decided to update their logo. Mike said, same logo since 1919 with the squiggle. Andrew, in your timeline. Andrew has a point. It's definitely based on your memory and your timeline. If you lived in this timeline where Ford always looked the same, it then had the squiggle. The image you're looking at here is a picture that was taken at an antique store. This Ford emblem was from a vehicle. It's straight up and down and has a rectangular, triangular shape underneath. This picture was a drawing that was submitted from Michael Paul. He drew this based on his memory of what the Ford badge used to look like prior to the squiggly. Definitely want to give an awesome shout out to Michael Paul. Thank you so much for this drawing. This next comment is from Worldline Hoppers. I posted a video on the missing landmass. It is poor quality, but I had to point out something instead of asking everyone to check it out. I'll just mention it here. The missing flight MH370, the search area was right in the same location of the missing landmass, yet I never seen anyone link the two as something odd, so my video is only to make people aware of this. First, I want to say thank you to Worldline Hoppers for posting this comment and making me aware of his video. I'm going to include a link to this video and his channel in the comments, and I'll pin those comments to the top so everyone else can view the video he made as well. Of course, I'm interested and have to research what Worldline Hoppers is referring to, and I found this map. This map gives pretty good detail about the flight path that the plane should have taken, did take, and the different signals that were received from the satellites, where the satellites were located, and the search areas. Underneath the map, the caption reads, the missing Malaysia Airlines plane, flight MH370, had 239 people on board and was en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on 8 March 2014 when air traffic control staff lost contact with it. This is a closer image of the flight plan and actual path that the plane took. In the lower part of the image, you can see where the plane was taking off. It followed the black dotted line and was supposed to have a straight flight to Beijing. However, just a few ticks into the flight, the plane takes a very steep angled turn back over the island and then takes a slight angled turn. Looks like it would be going towards the west. The area in which the missing landmass is supposedly located is right to the west of Australia. And zooming back out on the map, we can see that the area of the flight was pretty far off from the area where the landmass was considered to be. This is the map's key blown up for us here. The red dots are signals detected between the 5th and 8th of April. The yellow boxes are search areas. The orange dots are underwater search areas. The black dotted lines are flights planned route. The red dotted lines were the flights detected by radar. And the red lines were the final satellite communication. So the plane was somewhere along these arcs. Again, we're looking at the panned out view of the map, and you can see the arcs close to Australia where the missing landmass should have been. The red dots on this image also show where the airplane might have been located and some of the last signals that were received. So that's why the search area was in this location. You can clearly see, though, the plane did not go in that direction. Thank you, Worldline Hoppers, for making that connection and, of course, making me aware of it. The next comment comes from Christina Marie, and it's something I think we can all relate to. I just realized I'm not crazy a few days ago, and that I'm not the only one who remembers these things. And Darren, too, says, I'm a believer in the Mandela effect, but I only remember some things differently. Darren, I definitely want you to know that I only remember some of these things as well. A lot of the Mandela effects, I try to search for proofs for other people. Not that I necessarily remember them all, so you're not alone in that aspect. Christina Marie, I want you to know that we all felt a little crazy at one time, and coming into the Mandela effect can be overwhelming. It can even be scary. I remember when I was first looking at the different Mandela effects that were taking place, I had to put it down for a few days before coming back to it and really giving it more thought. Just keep researching and remember, you're not alone. There's other people that are willing to talk to you out there. There's groups that you can join and live shows that you can chat with other people that are also affected by these changes. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I'm so excited to have all of your comments on my videos. I love reading them. I love responding to them. I'm going to make more videos like this in the future. So if you guys find anything that you think I should be sharing in a video, or if you have new Mandela effects, you can always email them to me like normal. I'm going to make a separate video that has to do with the emails. But this video is specifically for commenters. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!